Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Julia. I'm a contemporary singing specialist based in Australia, and today I am reacting to LiSa performing Homura on one take. I think that's the first take. Sorry, LiSa performing Homura on the first take. And I'm keen to get into this one because if you've been around here for a while, you know I kind of enjoy my anime. I like songs that fit into animes. I think musically they're really fun and vocally they sound really cool. So we're gonna dive on in and listen to what this one sounds. I haven't heard this song by the way before. I haven't gotten around to watching the Demon Slayer movie. I've watched all of the Demon Slayer like anime, but I haven't actually gotten around to watching the movie yet. So yeah, I'm keen to hear what this one is. I know that Homura is Japanese for flame or blaze, so I'm keen to hear how that correlates and ties in with music. Let's get into it.
お願いします。さよならありがとう声の限り悲しみよりもっと大事なこと去りゆく背中に伝えたくてぬくもりと痛みに間に合うようにこのまま続くと思っていた僕らの明日を描いていた呼び合っていた光がまだ胸の奥に熱いのに僕たちは燃え盛る旅の途中で出会い手を取りそして話した未来のために夢が一つ叶うたび僕は君は待ってら強くなりたいと願い泣いた決意を花向けに
Okay. Where to start with this? There's actually a fair bit going on. Damn. Okay. So the majority of the time she's spending in her first register. But it's what she's doing in her first register that makes us feel like there's a progression with the story and allows us to feel like she's emotionally connected to what she's singing. Now I'm going to go back because I wanted to keep my eyes closed for that because having listened to LiSa before, this is not the first time I've listened to LiSa. She was the vocalist for the opening number for the Demon Slayer anime. So if I've watched the anime, I've heard that opening. I've heard her voice before, technically. So I do have that as like a little bit of frame of reference, but I haven't heard her in any other context. So anyway, diving into this, what she's doing in her first register is alternating between open, nasalized, and like compressed or constricted sounds. And the placement for that is what gives us the variety. So in the beginning, she sounds like she's fairly open. And then after a while, as the sound is shifting forward, we get a little bit more of those nasalized sounds. By the time she hits that chorus, there's actually a fair bit of constriction going through in her sound. The vowel is not very free at all, which is not necessarily wrong. It just means you're going to get a different timbre. And in this case, the timbre that you get from her is something that sounds a little bit brighter and sharper. Like if you were to use compression on a track, it's going to compress some of those sounds so we don't get as much color or tonal variety in those moments, but it does come across as strong and clear. Now, a pro of that means that you're going to get a little bit more of that intense feeling for the listener because the vocals sound a little bit more intense in that way. There's not as much freedom to the sound, so we feel like, yeah, no, it's quite pointed actually, the vocal tone and timbre in that moment, which if you're singing a very specific line or you're trying to get something specific across, that can be connected and lend itself to the storytelling in that manner. Something to bear in mind with this vocal setup, though, is it can be exhausting. So when you're using a lot of constriction, the muscles are having to work in a way that is not necessarily going to be great for prolonged vocal use. And by prolonged, I mean if you use it past the point of what your stamina will allow you. LiSa is a professional singer, she's a professional performer, so her stamina for those sounds may be greater than, say, a complete beginner who's not used to it. I know that for myself personally, I can't use this setup, because if I use this setup, I'll last 15 minutes and then my voice is done. It is over. I must have some freedom to my vowel and rely mostly on my resonating tract to give me more powerful sounds. Her voice is suiting the style of this song, and I can absolutely imagine this as part of an anime soundtrack. I think it's really suitable because of the timbre that she's using. Another point that I want to make is she's not just utilizing her first register, but she's also using her second. There are moments where she's gone up, she's used this compression through her belt, and then she releases into a second register, which is lighter and softer. I do hear a little bit of breathiness in there, but to me, it's almost like it's giving her voice just a bit of a break because she's used this compression, release. Compression, release. And actually, that's something that she does in the first verse as well. When there are moments where the sound is getting a little bit compressed, there'll be a release within the next couple of phrases. So these are things that you can use, and obviously, she can use it both for her expression as an artist, but also as a way of assisting the sound so that she doesn't get too tight too soon, because it's absolutely a possibility. Sometimes things can get too constricted, and then you wind up burning yourself out way too fast. I don't think that's what's happening here, just because of the way that she's able to release from some of those sounds, but these are things you have to kind of take into consideration. I mentioned the same thing on some of my bandmade reactions, that there are sounds when you're an artist that sound so dang cool and they fit with your style perfectly, but you just have to be aware that some of those vocal choices are going to fatigue you maybe a little bit faster. So you need to build stamina for those sounds, but also know where your limit is and don't push past it, because that's when you can start to hurt yourself a little bit. Anyway, love the variety that she's actually presenting. Different placements, different levels of constriction. I think the style is like super suitable, but yeah, now that is out of the way, we're going to keep going because I am finding the chorus super catchy and I'm actually really liking the variations that she's putting in her sound. I'm going to watch for the lyrics, but I just wanted to keep my eyes closed for the beginning just to kind of suss out the vocal setup that she's using. If she does anything different, I'll bring it up. So let's keep going.
と願い泣いた決意を花向けに
Okay, so for example on that, it's quite nasalized, but it's also got some freedom at the back. This is different to a nasalized compressed sound, just as an example. So there are moments where it sounds like it's quite pointed, but she's not actually using the degree of compression that she is in the chorus. Vocal fry at the end there.
懐かしい思いにとらわれたり残酷な世界に泣き叫んで大人になるほど増えてゆくもう何一つだって失いたくない悲しみ
Okay, excellent example of what I was talking about before, where she was super compressed and then it released. 1 second.
残酷な世界に泣き叫んで 大人になるほど増えてゆくもう何一つだって失いたくない悲しみに飲まれ落ちてしまえば痛みを感じなくなるけれど君の言葉君の願い僕は守り抜くと誓ったんだ Oh, 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 音を立てて崩れ落ちてゆく一つだけのかけがえのない世界
Again, oh, that variation in her tone in places, you really get that like power. It's almost like maybe it's just because I'm an English listener, and obviously the words are not going to land quite as hard for me. I'm just reading the captions, but it's almost like there's that sense of drive in her sound. You have this like driven quality to her singing, and yes, there's that compression there, but again, she releases it in places. There are also parts where she's quite bright, but the vowel's free, and then there are other parts where the vowel's a little bit like relaxed, and it almost takes us like a step back in the sound. So it's almost like it's placed a little bit looser and lower in sort of the resonating cavity in her mouth. So an example of that is right at the end here when she hits here.
一つだけのかけがえのない世界手を伸ばし抱き留めた激しい光の束
Okay, so entering into this chorus, she's a lot more free. You can hear the vowel is not nearly as compressed as the previous sections. Beautiful.
手を伸ばし抱き留めた激しい光の束輝いて消えてった未来のために託された幸せと約束を超えてゆく振り返らずに進むから前だけ向いて叫ぶから心にほむらを灯して遠い未来まで
Oh, man. What an absolute marathon. Wow. Okay. Damn. I want to take us back to that high note just to see where she got up to. One thing I will comment on is it seems that she is incredibly emotionally connected throughout this performance, which I think with this kind of stylistic choice on the vocals, you have no choice. Because if your breath and support are if they quit because you're not emotionally connected enough, again, there's a higher risk with some of the setup that she's using. So you got to stay on top of the other things to look after yourself. Anyway, I want to find where this high note was.
手を伸ばし抱き留めた激しい光の束輝いて消えてった
so we've got E5, E flat 5, B4, which I guess would actually make it E5, D sharp 5, B4. Regardless, that E5, holy dooly. So much ping through the sound that she's using. Not a whole lot of vowel freedom, but she gets it out. She gets it out. She gets it up there. As she's getting to the ends of her phrases through certain parts, her voice becomes a little more gravelly, a little bit more broken. I don't know if these are deliberate choices on her part or if her voice is just like, we gotta recover from everything we just did, and it's trying to recover quickly. But regardless, she sang some seriously high notes in here. She also utilized more than one setup, and of course all those different placements and levels of like constriction and compression in her sound, depending on what she wants in which section. I loved her setup in the moment where I commented like, oh yes, free through there, beautiful. That section to me was probably my favorite of her vocal setups, just because I got a little bit more color from her sound. It's actually quite beautiful. I quite liked what I was hearing, not just in that moment, across the whole thing. It's clearly a powerful song, and it is already like falling into my brain as like a catchy ballad of something that you would just like feel really emotional singing. Like it's one of those ballads. Anyway, I think this is an awesome song and performance to explore just the different kinds of things that you can actually do with your voice within a specific style. One of the things I haven't mentioned yet is her use of vibrato. So her vibrato is quite fast. I've already commented on vibrato in relation to Japanese performers before. If you want to go see that, go check my bandmade reaction, because I speak to both the vibrato but also why you get some more nasalized sounds listening to Japanese performers. It's language based. So that's just something to take into consideration. There are going to be consonants and certain syllables which are going to favor that nasalized placement. So you're going to put it there because that's where it makes sense to put it there for that specific language. So overall, I think this is actually a great piece to kind of look at and listen and realize the different kind of varieties you can get when it comes to placement and constriction. I think the song is a banger. I'll probably go and listen to it in my own time. And there are some things in there that I thought were absolutely beautiful from her. So yeah, I think I might leave that one there. This was awesome. And to do that in one take, dude, the stamina to get through this tune. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't even step to the plate unless you're gonna change the vocal decisions. But to sing it exactly like her, nah, no way. You're gonna make yourself tired and maybe even hurt yourself, give yourself some voice strain. Anyways, this was awesome. Thought the song was really catchy, and I'll probably listen to it again later in my own time because I like this music, so I'm probably gonna continue listening to it and maybe at some point check out the Demon Slayer movie. Anyways, that is it for me today, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this one. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, click the subscribe button and the bell notification beside it for more just like this one. As usual, I hope you're staying safe. I hope you are staying healthy, and I will see you next time.